The late afternoon light filtered softly through the blinds of Portia's office, casting long golden lines across the polished floor. Outside, the controlled chaos of General Hospital carried on as usual. Nurses moving briskly, monitors beeping steadily, lives changing minute by minute. Inside, however, time seemed to hesitate, as if it already sensed the weight of what was about to unfold. Isaiah stood near the door, his hand still resting on the handle as though he hadn't fully committed to stepping inside. He hadn't expected her message to sound so urgent. Portia wasn't someone who panicked easily. She was precise, composed, always in control. So when she asked him to come immediately, something in her tone made it impossible to ignore. "You wanted to see me?" he asked, his voice steady, though his eyes searched her face for clues. Portia didn't answer right away. She stood behind her desk, fingers pressed lightly against its edge, as if grounding herself. Her usual confidence was there, but layered beneath it was something more fragile, something unfamiliar. "Close the door," she said quietly. That was the first sign. Isaiah shut the door, the soft click echoing louder than it should have. He stepped forward, concern knitting his brows. "Portia, what's going on?" She took a slow breath, then another, as if carefully choosing how to rearrange the world with her next words. "I needed to talk to you somewhere private." "You're starting to worry me," he admitted, attempting a half-smile that didn't quite land. Portia met his gaze directly now. "I know, and I'm sorry for that. But what I'm about to tell you, there's no easy way to say it." Isaiah's posture stiffened. In his line of work, and in this hospital, those words almost never led to anything good. "Just tell me," he said gently. There was a beat of silence. Then, "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air, quiet but seismic. Isaiah blinked. Once, twice. For a moment his mind didn't process it at all. It was as if the sentence had arrived in a language he didn't speak. "I'm sorry, what?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm pregnant," Portia repeated, her tone steadier now, though her heart was clearly racing beneath it. Isaiah took a step back, the reality beginning to crack through his disbelief. "Pregnant?" Portia nodded. "With—" He trailed off, though they both knew the question was unnecessary. "With you," she said. The room seemed to tilt. Isaiah ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply as the weight of her words settled over him. Okay, he murmured, more to himself than to her. That's a lot." "I know. When did you find out?" "A few days ago." "And you're sure?" Portia gave a small, almost incredulous laugh. "Isaiah, I'm a doctor. Yes, I'm sure." He nodded again, pacing now, his thoughts moving faster than he could keep up with. Okay, this is unexpected. That's one way to put it." Isaiah stopped and looked at her, really looked at her. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I needed time," she admitted. "Time to process it myself before I tried to explain it to anyone else." He softened slightly. "Fair." Another silence stretched between them, this one heavier, more complicated. Isaiah finally spoke again. "So, what happens now?" Portia hesitated, and that hesitation was the second sign. "There's more," she said. Isaiah's stomach dropped. "More?" She nodded slowly, her composure faltering just enough to reveal the enormity of what she was about to say. "It's not just one baby." Isaiah frowned, confusion flickering across his face. "What do you mean?" Portia took a breath that seemed to come from somewhere deep within her. "It's twins." This time the world didn't just tilt, it stopped entirely. Isaiah stared at her, completely frozen. "Twins," he repeated, as if saying the word might make it more real. "Yes." He let out a disbelieving laugh, though there was no humor in it. "You're telling me I went from not knowing I was going to be a father to being a father of two?" Portia nodded. "In one conversation." "Yes." Isaiah covered his face with both hands, rubbing his temples as if trying to wake himself from a dream. "This can't be real." "It is." He dropped his hands and looked at her again, his expression a mixture of shock, awe, and something deeper, something almost like fear. "Twins," he said again, quieter this time. "Yes." A long pause. Then, unexpectedly, Isaiah started to laugh. It wasn't a dismissive laugh or a panicked one. It was the kind that comes when reality is so overwhelming that there's no other immediate response. "Twins," he repeated, shaking his head. "Of course. Why not? Go big or go home, right?" Portia couldn't help but smile faintly at that, though her eyes were still filled with uncertainty. "I figured you'd have a reaction." "That's putting it mildly," he said. He sat down finally, the weight of everything forcing him into stillness. Okay, let me think." Portia watched him carefully. "Take your time." Isaiah leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. "This changes everything." "I know. Everything," he repeated. Another pause. Then he looked up at her again. "How are you feeling?" The question caught her off guard. What? "How are you feeling?" he asked again, more firmly this time. "Physically, emotionally, all of it." Portia blinked, clearly not expecting him to shift the focus back to her so quickly. "I'm overwhelmed," she admitted. "I didn't plan for this. I didn't expect it. And twins? It complicates things." "Yeah," he said softly. "I can imagine." She folded her arms loosely, as if trying to hold herself together. "I wasn't even sure how you'd react. I still don't know." Isaiah stood up again, crossing the room until he was just a few feet away from her. "You think I'd run?" I didn't know what to think. He shook his head. "Portia, I'm shocked. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But that doesn't mean I'm going anywhere." Her expression softened, just slightly. "You don't have to say that just because—" "I'm not saying it because I have to," he interrupted gently. "I'm saying it because it's true." She studied him, searching for any sign of doubt. "2 babies," he added almost to himself. "That's a lot." Portia let out a small laugh. "You're telling me. But it's also—" He paused, struggling to find the right word. "It's kind of incredible." That surprised her. "Incredible," she echoed. "Yeah," he said, meeting her gaze again. "Terrifying, overwhelming, life-altering, but also incredible." Portia felt something shift inside her, something that had been tight and anxious since she first saw the test result. "You really mean that?" "I do." He took another step closer. "We created something. Actually, 2 somethings." She smiled faintly despite herself. "That's one way to put it." Isaiah's expression grew more serious. "We're going to have to figure out what this looks like, how we handle it, what it means for everything." "I know, but we'll figure it out," he said, "together." The word lingered. Together. Portia hadn't realized how much she needed to hear that until this moment. "You're sure about that?" she asked quietly. Isaiah nodded without hesitation. "Yeah, I am." She exhaled slowly, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. Okay, he echoed. They stood there for a moment, the enormity of their new reality settling around them. Not as something to fear, but as something to face. Isaiah glanced at her abdomen, still flat, still giving no visible sign of what was to come. "It's strange," he said. "Nothing looks different, but everything is." Portia followed his gaze. "That's exactly how it feels." He smiled softly. "Twins." She nodded. "Twins." A beat passed. Then Isaiah chuckled again, shaking his head. "You know, I always thought if I ever became a father, I'd have time to ease into it. 1 baby, 1 adjustment. And instead? Life said, nope, here's 2. Good luck." Portia laughed, a genuine laugh this time. "Sounds about right." Isaiah's expression turned thoughtful again. "Do you have any idea how far along you are?" "Early enough that we have time to plan," she said, "but not so early that we can ignore it." He nodded. "Right. Another pause, more comfortable now. Have you told anyone else? He asked. No, Portia said. You're the first. Isaiah seemed to take that in, the significance of it settling over him. I'm honored and slightly terrified. You're allowed to be both. Good, he said, because I definitely am. They shared a small smile. Outside the office, the hospital continued its steady rhythm. Lives beginning, ending, and changing in countless ways. But inside, something entirely new had begun. Not just a pregnancy, not just the shock of twins, but the fragile, uncertain start of something deeper. Something that would test them, challenge them, and ultimately redefine who they were. Isaiah took a deep breath. All right, he said. So, what's our first step? Portia tilted her head, considering. We start by not panicking. He laughed. That might be the hardest part. Then we take it one day at a time. Isaiah nodded. Thank you for watching. Write what you think about it. Subscribe to the channel.